Lovely. Time for the odd few minutes where everybody gets the all ping from Discord. Let's go to the live stream tab. Whoa, that's a lot of reacts. Oh, I wonder where they all came from. Come on, YouTube, where's my stream? There we go. That's everyone. Live now with Bricks. And in the Discord server we have 188 people. Isn't that just the best? Right, so whilst everything's loading, I'll load it up again. Come on. That's just in case. And hopefully this thing will start working. Yep, there we go. Stream is up on my PC. Volume back up. And there we go. Right. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Saturday night live stream. It has just dinged 8 p.m. and this is the second stream with a guest. Ladies and gentlemen, LUKR member Mike's Bricks. Hello, Mike.
Hello. That's pretty deep. Sorry about that. Hello.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna have to give it a few minutes for a few other people to jump on in, and hopefully,
I just kind of broke the fourth wall there.
That's okay. Well, hopefully, we're not going to see comments that say, you know, someone's too quiet or whatever else. So this is going to be an interesting stream. This is definitely going to be Lego Train heavy, because myself and my guest are both members of the LUKR, which is a British-focused Lego Train club, and being able to have guests on stream was something I wasn't too comfortable with to begin with. But with the success of having my good friend Josh on the stream, a few LUKR members came forward and asked me if they wanted to join in. The first one being Mike. So this should be a very fun time. So I'm going to kick things off straight away. Mike, please introduce yourself and where can we find you on YouTube and any other social media pages?
Hello, I am Mike's Bricks. I was actually one of the newer LUK member, and LNUK member. And you can find me on Instagram at Mike's Bricks _, and then on YouTube it's just Mike's Bricks.
That was a funny thing you just said there, like LNUR, LUKR, or whatever the hell we're called.
It has two names.
In a way, there's three names, because originally it was called LNUR because members were in the UK and they were all based up north. And eventually, when myself and a few other members started joining the club, we were all focused in the south of the UK. And eventually, we made a sort of chapter, that's what I like to call it at least, where it's LSUR. So it's Lego Southern UK Railway. And, pardon me, there are a number of members who are able to get together for shows that are more focused in the south of England. There was definitely a Southern members meetup as well, which sadly I wasn't able to make it to. But because of how many members we have in the club and how spread out we are, so nowadays we are called LUKR. Some members go back and forth on what the name actually is, but LUKR is basically what it should be now. It'll be interesting to try and figure out a name for international members, because we have you, Trace, and Renzo.
LITG, Lego International Train Group.
Lego, let's figure this out. So Lego UK and International Train Club. So that would be the LUAITC, Lego UK and International Train Club.
Oh, jeez.
The thing is, with something like that, I am absolutely going to spend some time later on today to try and figure out an acronym or some kind of weird logo for that to work. Right, let's get.
Well, you could do it like in the style of British Railway. The
Well, yeah, that's the thing because it's a Lego club and it has its own theme. This being trains specifically. There are member bricks that you can get. So when I joined in 2020, there was a members brick that we got that was stylized in LNER that you would see on the side of an LNER tender. For 2021, the members brick was stylized in the. Oh, I can't get the bricks to show you. That's a bit of a shame. But yeah, but the next one was in the Southern Railway sort of logo overall, which looks pretty cool.
Oh,
The one for
I still
this
need to
year.
get mine.
Sorry, you right?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But yeah, there are member bricks for this club. I think you might have one shipped to you in time. I don't know
Hopefully.
how long it might take because I think this year it's going to be a bit more difficult to get them shipped out. At least Richard says something about it being a bit more difficult or a bit more limiting to get one. I think he started off by saying, if he's at a show that you're at, then you'll get a brick that way. I got my one in the post. I'm hoping a few other members are going to get theirs in the post as well. Hopefully they should all have theirs by now. But I don't know what the deal is for international members. I know that Trace can get his pretty easily, but yeah, I think you and your one, Richard should at least let you know to say, okay, you got your member brick on the way, and they are again all stylized in the form of like railway logos, which is really cool. I think the latest one is Rail Freight. What's UK Rail Freight? Is that the one? Rail Freight logo. Oh, it is and it isn't. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the logo itself or the actual member brick. But yeah, it is very clever how the bricks are stylized to have a good railway theme, which is really good. So what was I doing? Oh yes, I was doing this live now with account number. Ooh. Bricks. There's only so many places I can really advertise the live stream. This was a weird thing that happened a few weeks ago as well. One of the streams I did was, well, it was still a good stream, but it had a very rocky start and it had a very sort of bland presentation as we went across because in the title I put Nerf, and whilst I enjoy Nerf Blaster stuff, most of my audience does not. So it was very interesting to see how minimalistic the viewing figures were for that stream. It got to 10 minutes in and I thought, is something wrong? Have I made an error or something? So I shut down the stream, restarted it about 5 minutes later, and I thought, no, it's just, putting Nerf in the title was evidently a dooming thing to do. So
Was
I
that
think
the April 9th stream?
let's have which one was it? It was the great the 2nd of April.
The second. There was one I tuned into where there was like nobody watching.
There was a few. Yeah, it was definitely that one. If there was going to be one where nobody was watching, it was that one because again,
it's like, no, Luke. It's like, no, Luke, don't go.
I think that one I ended. I think that was the one where I ended it a bit early as well, and also had some silly sort of outro idea. So basically,
oh, yeah, you're the one you fell down on the back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because I'm sat on my bed now. The way this used to be arranged was my bedroom's had a rearrangement a number of weeks ago to try and open up some more space, which it successfully has. And I had a desk chair basically where I'm sat, but that's now gone, and the bed has been rearranged so along that back wall is where it used to be, but now it's along here up against this sort of slanted roof. So now I'm sitting on the end of my bed, and if I wanted to, I can just dip out of shot and just make my way back up without any issue. And I think for any stream going forward where I don't have a guest, I'd love to try and do outros like that because that was really fun. I was looking forward to doing that on the stream I did last week, which was the 10-year anniversary one. The only the only problem with that was it had a very abrupt ending. So sadly, my
Oh, really?
funny stream idea for ending the stream just by falling on my bed couldn't actually work.
I don't remember. I didn't tune in for the end. I turned in for the beginning, but then I had to go.
Well, I don't blame you because that one in particular was 2.5 hours long, and it got
I
to the
stood
end, and I
until like
thought, yeah, I've got to go because basically, I needed to use the loo, and it all happened so suddenly. That feeling just appeared so suddenly. I thought if I stay to try and finish off these last few questions, I'm going to make a mess. So I just ended the stream. I just ran downstairs. Yeah, that wasn't the best thing going.
honestly, that's a good story. That's a good.
Hmm.
Apologize for me laughing, but
No,
I think that's kind
I
of
get
funny.
it was its own silly thing. So again, it is worth making known as well because I didn't want it to seem like I just chose to abruptly end the stream. There was definitely a reason for it. I will quickly add, I think that you technically are my only viewer because it still only says one watching now.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Where is everyone? I normally get a few people in.
I just don't know. I posted it on Instagram and had that countdown. I had people looking at it.
Yeah, whether they actually tune in or not is something completely different.
I know.
That's okay. We can always still this stream will still be uploaded straight away as a video that you can watch back. So I'm gonna kind of just use that to the advantage of getting on with the stream. So introduce yourself, Check. Where can we find you online? Check. That's Instagram and YouTube, both of Mike's Bricks. So what kind of trains do you build or would you like to build? So anything from Great Western, LNER, do you prefer steam, diesel? What do you prefer?
I prefer just British steam first and foremost. Um, I will tell you this right first and foremost. I will not build a Billington E2. I will refuse to build a locomotive.
Hmm.
But ones I'm planning on building or want to build is a Southern Q1, and then whatever else that comes along. Because I just want to try my hand in different locomotives.
There was one, if I try and get up your Instagram again, I saw your post about you starting the Bully Q1
Yeah,
rather.
I kind of I that was way too large for my opinion, so I kind of tore that apart.
Yeah, those wheels are way too far apart.
Yeah,
But there's definitely
that's
room to you can squish that wheelbase down just a little bit. I'll tell you what, where was hey Pierce is here and CMH Bricks. We got some people
Pierce is
jumping in.
here.
Yeah, Trace, it's a live stream. Yes, it is. Hello, you made it. CMH Bricks,
Hello,
hello,
Mister.
hello.
Hello,
Good to see people.
Trace Pierce. I'm one of your biggest fans.
Hmm.
Just
He's
to
a
let you
club
know,
member as well.
and a fellow club member as
Yep.
well. That's for sure.
Trace, did you get or did you see my message in the group chat earlier today? It was about me not being able to host the stream next Saturday because of an event that's happening with my Lego user group. It's basically, I think it's AGM. I think it's supposed to be, it's a get together with a certain theme, but I can't actually pinpoint what it's supposed to be. But it's an all day get together thing, and I would like to try and make it. So, get over yourself, you guys. Yeah, I think that one's more towards you. But yeah, basically, to summarize, next Saturday I don't think I'll be around in the evenings. So if you still want to jump in as a guest for a live stream, we can try and do it for the day after on the Sunday. Uh, so long as you're okay with it. Yep, I saw no worries over farms. Oh, that's good. Okay, well, we'll set it for Sunday 24th. Yes, Sunday 24th. That'll be my next stream, and that will be featuring Pierce Bricks. Lovely stuff. Right.
All right,
There
so
was a
going
thing.
back, I gotta answer Trace's questions here because he didn't respond to my prompt on Instagram.
Yeah, carry on.
What is my favorite livery? That's a good question because I don't even know. If I would have to pinpoint something, I would probably say the Great Western livery. Um, just that red and black and that green. Works really well. Um, I can't really think of what else I really like. I just like the idea of British theme and all those simplistic liveries and designs. They're so cool.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was with Glenn Holland a long while ago. I think this was on Flickr as well. It was a very brief, like 2 or 3 comment chat we had somewhere, and I said to, oh, I remember what it was. I think I remember. Glenn basically had a picture of a 210 wheelbase on his Flickr, and he said, "Does anyone want to take a guess at what I'm building?" And I suggested, "Are you going British? Are you making a 9F?" And he said that was an incorrect guess, but I think I think it was that. I think it was that model in particular where we had that back and forth and said, "What would it take for you to build British?" Because I'm British, I build British. He's American, you build American. But what would it take for you to swap to go to build to somewhere else? And something or other came up where he said American locomotives have the look of function over form, which is why they look so exposed, where there's all these big cylinders and details along the side and whatever else. But yeah, that's also part of why British locomotives have a unique characteristic style to them, because they've still got the function, of course they do, but they've got a better charm to them. Again, with the shapes and the bright colors, it's definitely something that makes them stand out above the
I mean,
rest.
don't get me wrong, I do like my American locomotives. Like here in the States, we have some pretty cool locomotives, like our big boys, for instance. I uh, Here and wherever I live, are like one of our biggest cities in the state has a big boy just on display, and it is awesome. It is amazing.
So,
But
well, that's what
then,
in a museum, I'm guessing.
not even a museum. I think it's like exposed to the elements.
Really?
It's
Just a
like
big
over a
boy
highway. Yeah,
outside?
yeah. I think it was outside, or last time I remembered, it was outside. But that was like 10 years ago. I'm not sure if
No,
they
that
even
was
moved
10.
it.
Yeah. Well, that's something
But we
completely
also have
different then.
a we also have like a train station museum where there's also another locomotive in there. I can't even think what it was.
Oh, speaking of trains just being outside, I remember watching a YouTube video. Again, this was ages ago, where there was a guy who went through this sort of foresty area where he had a map that basically took tourists to 2 abandoned locomotives just in the middle of the forest, still on tracks, but they were just intact but rusting away. And the
Oh
fact
man,
that there were just, I'll have to try and find that after the stream, because it was very interesting just to see, or at least knowing that there are still these 2 locomotives intact, but nobody's gone back to try and save them or salvage them or otherwise try and scrap them. They're just there, which I think is remarkable. If I can find the video, if I
that's
can actually find the correct video, I'll put it in the Discord server, because it's genuinely very interesting. It's just random things like this that makes things so interesting.
that kind of sounds familiar. There was this engine that was locked up in a shed while his railway closed, and it got all overgrown and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I read a book about it someplace. Can't get my mind on it.
Did you watch Unlucky Tug's video on? It was the CGI Sodor map, and near the end he has a sort of quick Duke theory where
Oh yeah, I've
all
seen
the
that.
events in the CGI series match up to how they are in the Railway series, where Arlesdale Miniature Railway was introduced. We've got Peter Sam and Sir Handel. They exist, but
The
where's
Earl of
Duke?
Sodor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the ultimate conclusion was Duke in the CGI series hasn't been found yet.
Which that would have been perfect. Could you imagine
Yeah, it
Duke
really would.
in the CGI series?
Yeah, that would have been
Like,
so cool.
I will say, I barely watched the CGI series because that's when I grew out of Thomas and Friends.
Mm.
Because I grew up with the hit and the classics, and then like I started with the CGI, but then I quit because I was too old. And so like coming back and just looking at these, not really watching them, it's like, huh, they really just went downhill at the very end.
Yeah, seasons 17 through to 21, that's good CGI. And of course, a classic
Because
series is good as well. My Thomas binge
yeah,
is
the end of
still stuck kind of on hold because I'm still on the end of season 9. I just can't push onwards because those episodes
I
are
feel for
bad.
you.
And the thing is, the era after the first 4 seasons of CGI are some of the worst ever. It's like, oh, I don't want to go into them because they're just bad episodes.
Oh yeah, yes, Trace. Your comment there is absolutely true.
He is.
Like
He's a
Unlucky
proper
is
railway
awesome.
series nerd.
Um, uh, who is it? Luke, not you, Luke, but the other one, Luke Combs, Explosive Cookie, the one who works at the Tally Flynn.
Luke Ryan.
Luke Ryan.
Hmm. I think he's
Yep,
definitely a
Luke
big
Ryan.
railway series buff as well.
Yep. Do you hear the theory that if you like smoke from the Audrey's pipe, you gain all the knowledge of soda?
Hmm.
Excuse me.
I have not heard of that theory, but then again, I'm not a smoker, so I don't think I'll ever gain such knowledge. Trace also made a few other comments in the chat. Let's read these ones. So Glenn Holland had a great descriptor. I agree with where American is designed industrial, whereas British is built for elegance. Yes, that's basically spot on. There are definitely some American locomotives that look beautiful. More so, some of these like multiplex streamliners, some of their larger ones that have just a raw sense of power and style to them. I'll try and list a few in the Discord server later on, but yeah, some of them just look amazing. And every now and then, people do say to me, "What American locomotive would you like to build?" I would like to get back to
Hello, this is a
making.
duck.
Ah, this is a duck. You've joined the stream. Hello, welcome. Good to
Hello.
see you.
Okay.
But yeah, when people say to me every now and then, Luke, are you going to build an American engine? I do say to them, well, it's not high up on my list, but if I was going to make one of the larger multiplex engines would be a good one to make. But if not something that big, probably something just a tad smaller, which again, I don't know names because I'm not
Oh,
American.
build that. What's the Polar Express?
I've
What's it
built the
called?
Polar Express.
It's number 1225, which is kind of funny, and it's the only one in
Mm.
existence. Um, what's it
Well,
called?
I've basically got
Pure
that in
Marquette.
a period market.
Pure
Yeah,
Marquette. Yeah.
I do still have my Polar Express built up, so I will still always have an American engine. I also saw your comment on the Hudson designs. There's a lot of Hudson. What is it? The Dreyfus Hudson? That's something I've What was it I watched recently? Because there was something about sort of American streamlined locomotives built by Hudson. It was just it's a I think it was just what was it? This streamlined steam locomotives. Was it on this channel? There was like a specific channel dedicated to streamlined locomotives. Yeah, here we are. And some of the stuff on this channel is really interesting. You get some weird designs as well, but some of these look absolutely beautiful. And I think there was a video on here that was again, you get some videos was like every Japanese streamlined locomotive, every LNER streamlined one, that sort of thing. And I think there was one for Hudson as well. That's another thing I'm gonna have to try and look for later on because I think the Hudson, maybe not the Hudson design for streamliners, but I think some streamliners that Hudson designed himself look amazing. Again, I'll have to try and find this later on because streamlining on steam locomotives is like my favorite thing ever. I might have to add some more of these to my fleets because it's just a cool, beautiful look.
Before we continue with the questions, well, I still have two more, but before we continue, quick question: do you know who Anthony Dawson is? And then, do you know who History in the Dark is?
Anthony Dawson. That name rings a bell,
He
but
does.
I've
He does the like history. He went through like the entire history of British locomotives. I think he's still on there.
Anthony Dawson historian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. Not the Dawson I thought of. There was another Dawson that I was thinking of, but it's not quite that one. Trace also asked a question earlier. What's most difficult for you to build? I suppose like techniques or
For y'all to build.
yeah, there's one a little bit further. What's most difficult for you all to build? I don't quite understand the grammar there, Trace.
No, I get what I get what he's saying. The most difficult for me to build, it would just have to be like starting off a locomotive because you have to find all the little details that fit into your model. And I don't know how you do it, Trace, but like you are so talented with your models.
You know,
Um,
I think one of the
and
servers that
you
we're
would just
both in is
you
yeah,
get all the details in there just
getting all these
perfectly.
tiny, just finding ways to cram them in. There's do you know Seth? Not Seth Bricks. It's he's in Seth Brick's server. You know, Mutant Gibbs. That's it on Discord.
Newton Gibbs. I'm not sure. I would have to look.
He's in Seth's Lego Train server, and he's posted like realistic versions of Thomas trains, and he's crammed in every detail, like super small, minute detail there is possible onto the models. I don't know how the hell he does it because these are details that I would love to try and add to my own models, but I can't figure out how to apply them whilst keeping the model sturdy. So I suppose, well, that's something else I'll have to pile on later on. But yeah, there are some people out there like Trace, like Mutant Gibbs, who just cram in so much detail, and for the life of me, some of that stuff I just can't figure out. Josh, you also made it to the stream. Hello, good to see you. Tony Savva
Possibly a
built a
lot of
great mock of
jumper
one.
plates. A lot of jumper plates.
Yeah, that's something I got used to hoarding when it came to making Bricklink orders for my British engines. Building 7 wide is good, but if you want to make sure that your model basically stays in one piece, jumper plates are what you're gonna have to stack up on. Trace also says Tony Sava built a mock of the Dreyfus Hudson JA3. That's one of the ones that look absolutely beautiful. And also, yo Luke, how much do you love that Metroliner coronation though? I love it as much as my other coronations. My red one is still my favorite, but the Metroliner one is, I suppose, if I was going to rank all four, the Metroliner one would definitely be second place because it has a matching rake of coaches and it's in Metroliner livery. It's technically Amtrak, but I'm someone who looks at it and I don't think Amtrak, I think Metroliner. So yeah, that's definitely got some more personal feelings in terms of its build. So yeah, I do love it, but it's not quite my favorite though. I don't love it enough to make a separate dedicated box for it like I have for my red one over here.
Alright, and
So since we're talking about other Lego train YouTubers and other Lego train builders in general, are there any particular Lego train builders that you enjoy watching, or someone like on YouTube, on Flickr? Is there any particular builder that you're really fond of?
um, Trace, because I always follow his posts, but when he was still, I think Smith, Isaac Smith, still part of the group?
He did not renew his membership, so sadly he left the group. I think he's kind of left the hobby as a whole because he hasn't done anything Lego train related in a good long while. He is focusing on animation stuff. I think he's doing a course related to animation, but I can't remember exactly if that's true. But he hasn't made a
Yeah,
post or anything Lego train related for a long while, which is quite sad because his models were definitely what got me into making Lego trains in the first place.
yeah, I watched him as well when he was still posting like the train stuff, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. This guy used all these different places, Big Ben bricks, excuse
Hmm.
me, and trimline tape and train bricks for all his connecting rods. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. I want to try that.
That's the thing with Trace. not Trace, rather, Isaac. He, like, I will always kind of praise Isaac for this. In 2018, when he was making, I think it was 2018, where he was making his videos, when he was like, when he did his first video where it was his LMS, Black 5, and Royal Scott, and he showed them off with trimline tape. At the time, I thought, how could you put like these sort of stickers on a model? Like, what's wrong with you? But as time went on, I warmed up to that idea, and models look infinitely better when they've got decals and stickers on them. So I think that detail in particular, people have warmed up to. Like, people are okay with putting on water transfers, again, stickers, lining tape, things like that. That all, like everything that we've got today, especially with my models, with all the line I've put on my trained, that all comes back and to the thanks of Isaac, because he took the step and basically popularized using trimline tape. And I genuinely believe that Lego Train community owes him a lot of thanks that Isaac might not truly get. It's a shame he's not in the hobby anymore, because if Isaac kept on making Lego trains and developed his skills, he would definitely, without a doubt, be one of the best Lego train builders in the world today. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Um, Actually, I think Trace, you said you were inspired by Isaac as well. As soon as he responds.
He's full-time employed for a stop-motion studio. Oh, I did know that he was working full-time, but I didn't know he was working for a proper stop-motion studio. Ah, that's pretty
See,
cool.
yeah,
Good on you.
last thing I saw for him was an advertisement he did.
Isaac Isaac made an advert?
Yeah, or he did like a test advert. Or no, he did a show reel in 2019. That was the last time he posted.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. The show reel, like things like on the way.
Yeah. So that's really interesting.
Carl Graytrix. Yes, of
So
course. Do you know
3
Carl
years ago.
Graytrix?
Oh, jeez.
Mike, have you heard of Carl Graytrix before?
I have not heard of Carl Trade.
So he's a fairly old Lego train builder, sort of the late 2000s going into the 2010s when he was making his models. He was posting more so on Flickr than anywhere else, and his models looked like they were ahead of his time. He looks like he was ahead of his time, genuinely. He built an A4, and that looks stunning. There's a number of other models that Carl has made. My Smoky Joe is based on Carl's Caledonian Pug. It's nearly brick for brick, but again, with some of the designs that Carl himself had, he was so ahead of his time. He was so talented. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I've seen his terrier mock before.
Let's have a look at
I'm
Carl
looking
right
at his
now.
Flickr now.
Let's go to his Flickr page.
Yeah, I'm on his Flickr page. I know you can't.
Are you
see
looking
it,
at it
but
now? Let's have a quick look at some of Carl's models, because these are some proper good models. Again, the only two that I can remember, or that I know that he built. Carl Graytrix, there's no. What do you mean there's no matches? Oh, for goodness sakes, bring.
Wow.
Search people.
His Dean, his Great Western Railway Dean class, the 422, looks exactly like British.
Oh, he's not appearing on. Oh, I can't get him to appear on Flickr. But yeah, I do. Yeah, again, he's got a number of models that are just stunning. Yeah, I think that's another he's another person who definitely inspired a lot of people, but in turn left the hobby after a while.
How much money can you sink into this hobby, though?
Oh, that's such a dumb question, because let me tell you something. How much money can you put into the hobby? Well, let me put it to you this way. We were talking before the stream began about Trixbricks orders, and that order that I made is over £200. And orders like that are very uncommon. but other chunks of money are spent in bricklink orders, and I've made 3 today, which comes to nearly 100. But it's all parts that I need to use because I'm going back through the process of expanding and changing my layout again. So costs do stack up. But I think if you try to count how much money you spent on the hobby, that would be a foolish task. I mean, I don't think you could ever know exactly how much you spent because it's potentially limitless.
Sometimes it's like $20 here, $20 there, $40 for circuit cubes if you
Yeah,
want
that's the
to
thing, and that all stacks up.
power your locomotives.
Yeah. And Owen Mentscher. Yeah, Owen.
Yeah, yeah,
He did a Lego show
he's
not too
also
long ago.
American.
He did a Lego show not too long
Um,
ago. And his little
I
layout.
follow I follow his Instagram, and I think he's also a volunteer at a railway
Hmm,
somewhere. But yeah, I would. He's amazing. He did an LMS Jinty, and then he also
he
did
did.
another LMS tech engine.
I want to say Q2 or Q3, but I don't remember. I don't think it even is one of those two. But yeah, I saw his layouts. Did he put it on YouTube? I think so because it was either on YouTube or on Flickr where he went to a show, brought his layouts with him, and it's a small layout in terms of how layouts go, but it is amazing. None of these. There we go. Yeah, that took a moment to search because um, you spelt the name wrong, basically. So let's have a look on his YouTube.
University of
I'm
Nottingham.
pretty sure.
Interesting. He's studying mechanical engineering. Interesting.
Well, I suppose that makes sense because again, engineering can translate to how you can put Lego bricks together.
It's very interesting.
Okay, I suppose it was on like Flickr or his Instagram because it's not on YouTube. But yeah, he did go to a Lego show a number of weeks ago, and he put the whole thing on display, and it was a beautiful thing to behold. It really was. Trey says, any hints on options what you want to enter in this year's Brick Train Awards? I don't have a clue. Well, the Brick Train Awards haven't been announced yet, so they're still yet to be decided. RK, hello, good to see you able to make it to the stream. Come on in.
I I don't know, Trace. I mean, I do have I do have my Great Western Railway model, but I don't feel like it would win. So if I was gonna enter something, it would be something I would have to really put time and effort into.
There are a
That's
lot
gonna
of
be
people
very.
who, with the LUKR Awards that happened in February as well, there were a number of people who entered their models, and with some of them, you could tell they weren't going to win, but it was their best model and it was something that they put everything into. So I think it's still worth entering something, even if in the back of your mind you think, oh, I don't think I'm going to win. I'm one of those people as
So
well
the,
because I don't ever really win stuff. It's a very, very rare occasion for me to win something. But yeah, even if you don't think it's going to win, it's still worth entering in the first place. So with whatever you've
I mean,
got, whatever your best models are, definitely get them in.
wasn't that a now? Was it that a A4 that won?
Yes, an
Yeah,
A4.
was that
I'll have to
Grizzly
get a
big one?
list. I'll tell you what I'll do after the stream. I'll go back into my server as well and also have a look at my Flickr because the guy who made the A4, I think his name is James. James something. But yeah, this guy in particular, when I first or when he first came to Flickr, he made 6 wide models and they were very sort of simple. Oh, pardon me. And it was stuff where you thought, yeah, he's definitely sort of getting into the hobby. He goes silent for I don't know how long, and then he just shows up again out of the blue with an 8 wide A4. He goes from starting details of how you build like your first 6 wide model to basically something that British Bricks would make. And the fact that he did that and his A4 won Best Locomotive was unbelievable. I'm so surprised at how quickly he's been able to get the idea of how to put bricks together to achieve a certain shape because, again, his A4 is beautiful. The conversation is
Is
rarely about winners, but about what stands out. Yes, that is very true. Um, it's not down to what necessarily wins because that is down to the judges anyway. But with the LUK, the LUKR awards at least, when it was coming through, that all the entries had come in, and it was time for us to all kind of make our own votes and kind of just have a look at the models as a whole. We knew which ones we already wanted to win, but there were definitely way more models that we focused on and looked at and thought, oh, look at this. This is really cool. The way it's been put together, the way that it's been built. It's something that you could basically go to every single model and have that conversation. That can kind of sway your sort of voting style, but at the same time, even if it doesn't win, it's a model that can definitely grab the attention of the judges. And that was a really fun process just to pick all of those models out and go, oh, look at this, I like this bit. Oh, look at this one, I like that bit. So
what
yeah.
he did was like it's like the member wagons. Like there wasn't a bad member wagon,
Mm.
and it was like really hard to choose about like which one would be good. Um, I mean,
With the member wagon, since you said that, I entered a cattle wagon which got third place with 11 votes, I think. But it was something I made for the sake of making it, and I entered it to try and match the specification points, just for the sake of I may as well just make something and have it in because why not? I genuinely did not think I would get as many votes as I did, but it was surprisingly popular. And
it
yeah,
was
the
still a
member
really good
wagons can
model.
definitely be literally anything from the box van to the open wagon to the conflat to the tanker to maybe one day it will be a cattle wagon. But who knows? It could definitely be that
Keep
one
on,
day.
just keep on entering it. Eventually, it'll win.
I suppose so, yeah. RK
Oh,
says, I suggest you submit your City of Truro. Yeah, my City of Truro is definitely a nice model. It I don't know if that would honestly qualify because with the Brick Train Awards, there are specification points, and I think one of them is the model itself can't be older than 2 years. You have to have made it within the last 2 years. And I think my City of Truro was made sometime in 2020. I don't remember when in that year, but depending on what time the Brick Train Awards actually happen, I might be able to squeeze that in. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely one of my better models because it's smaller, it's a bit more simpler, and it's a bit more nicer to look at.
it'll be
Am I a judge?
illegal for you
No, I'm not
to.
a judge. This was with the LUKR Awards again. I'm not one of the final judges, but for the club run competition, it was done in a way where each member basically has a vote, or you can apply a point to what model you think is the best for this certain category. It was not so much voting. I'm not like in the same sense with the main BTAs, where I'm one of the judges on a panel that would determine all of the winners. That's with a very select few people, and it's more so with the people who organized the competition in the first place. But Trace, you're not wrong when you say where streamliners would win. Streamlining designs are some of my favorites. This year it was a tanker. Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed that it was a tanker because that discussion was a joke, and for a tanker to win is actually kind of daft. But it's still a good wagon. It's still a very good design for a tanker wagon, and I'm looking forward to getting my prints so I can be able to make one.
Okay, so Pierce, you asked realistically, Mike, realistically, what's on next for you to build? Um, I do have a new build that I finished, but I got instructions for it. And yes, it is your Terrier A1X class that decided to purchase and build. Let me tell you, that's an amazing model. But then after that, I am focusing on building a Southern Q1. So that's gonna be fun.
Speaking of the Q1, did you see my link in our chat on Discord, by the way?
Yes, I did. I've watched that video before. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, that is a good model of a Q1.
I just think the wheels are a bit too small.
I think normal large is the perfect size for a Q1 because the Q1 itself isn't massive, and that sort of design I think overall does work. I think if that builder in particular could just get box pop design wheels to match what it actually looks like on the locomotive, then that would be perfect.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do for my models. Buy those those wheels and then buy connecting rods for them and build my model.
Trace is definitely excited for the fact that you're building a terrier.
No, it's already built. It's already built trays. I just need to order a few more pieces. I mean, it's intact. A wet livery. It is for the trail, so it's all black.
He showed me a picture before the stream started, so I got first preview.
I've been hiding it. Like I even on your server, Luke, I was like, "Hey guys, I bought instructions." You're like, "Oh cool, what build?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you."
Yeah, you wanna tease people into it. You want to keep the interest going. Definitely
Like,
reveal it when you've got all the pieces for it.
and yeah, it's the motorized one, so it's actually gonna run on my layout
So
with
you've
my
got a
tight
circuit cube
curves.
for it as well, have you?
Yes, I do.
Mm. I
Speaking
bought
of
the
circuit cubes,
instructions for the E2, and because I powered all my coaches, I bought the unpowered version. And I suppose with a model like that, it's very interesting to see. Okay, so with the unpowered version, there was just a few bricks that were placed in a certain area where the circuit cube would have gone. And for moments like that, when you're buying instructions that have a motor in there somewhere, it's always interesting to look at it and go, oh, that's where you would put it. Okay, so that's how it would connect to the wheels. Oh, that's how you would power it and attach all the wires and whatnot. So it is very intriguing to see how some of these designs are put together. But you also said you
what do
weren't
you?
going to get an E2 though, weren't you?
No, I'm not gonna get an E2. Um,
There's just too many
I
of them
think
out there, are there?
not too many of them out there. More the fact that in reality they're not good take engines,
Yeah, that is
and
true. But
I would rather have a Terrier rather than an E2.
I think in time you're going to have to build yourself a BR08 diesel shunter as well. If you're going to be on the well, at the same time, that's only because Trace, you got to go. Oh, shame you have to leave early. Well, we're not going to be around for too much longer either. But thank you so much, Trace, for tuning in for as long as you have. We'll see you in the chats later on. But yeah, basically, like I said earlier, where the Terrier and the BR08 are basically the mascots for the club. You've got one of them made, but now you just need to build the other one. I'm still in a similar situation where, like I said earlier, I've built the Gronk, but I don't care for rebuilding it. So I've made one of them. I still need to get on with making the Terrier, which is something I'm also not so motivated in building.
Yeah, I do wanna build a Class 08 eventually. I mean,
Hmm.
a purist steam. I'm not steam purist, even though sometimes I claim that I am. But I do want to build a diesel eventually, just as a shunter or something smaller.
Yeah, I think it was in the last week's live stream I did as well, where I was answering all the questions. One of the questions specifically was, "Are you going to build a class 13?" Which is basically two 08s front and back like put together.
Oh yeah. Do you
Hmm.
know the user by the name the Train Boy?
Yes.
He did a video.
Yeah,
He
he
did a
did.
video.
I also, if you were to go onto that video and kind of scroll through the comments for a bit, I made a comment that said, you know the YouTube channel Train of Thoughts,
Oh
where
yeah.
so basically I commented saying, sees Train of Thought once, makes the series, and I got a response from Train Boy, and I thought, oh shit. He thinks I'm an asshole now. But yeah, we were able
Oh, I'm
to
trying to
basically,
scroll.
yeah,
I want to find this comment.
it's in there. But I was able to basically kind of apologize and amend the original comment. It was supposed to be a joke comment in the first place, but his reply of, it's not, just because somebody's got the idea doesn't mean it's just for them to do, which is true. But again, it kind of went and took a turn that I wasn't expecting, basically. I don't know how easy it will be for you to find because, again, I don't know how many comments are on that video, but it shouldn't.
There's 304, but I'll find it. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, it is there. I didn't delete the comment, so you should be able to see it.
Um,
I do
I
like
mean,
that there are more videos that kind of just talk about
do you think
railway
it's?
lore. You found it?
Well, no. I have a quick thing I want to say, but like some people over the internet, it's hard to communicate. For instance, the new member Joe in the LNUR, like in the LNUR, who just joined the LNUR, if
Joe?
like Joe came, thing,
Oh, yeah.
I don't, yeah.
One of the newer
So
members. The guy who
when
joined after you.
I first commented on one of his posts saying, "Hey, that's cool. Do you have any instructions for this?" And he responded back thinking that I was rude to him,
Yeah,
and
he,
I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound rude." And we made up, but
yeah. So, yeah, Joe is, one of the, he is, again, to those watching the stream, this is Joe, who is also a club member. But he's also someone who, not on my server, but on another Lego Train themed Discord server, has kind of made it known that he doesn't like it when people say they like the model, only to then immediately say, "Do you have instructions, or can you show me a way to build what you've just made?" I do remember his original comment, or rather his original post, that said, "If you're gonna pay compliments to the model, then that's fine, but actually compliment the model and mean it before you eventually ask me, do I make instructions?" Because Joe is someone like me, where he's basically just doesn't do instructions, which does make a lot of sense because making instructions is a difficult thing in of itself, because you have to make sure the model works, you have to make sure the bricks are easily available, and there's, again, a lot to it. And when it comes to people asking for instructions, that comes from someone who sees a model and wants their own version because they like how it looks so much they want one straight away. I've been on YouTube for 10 years now, and for a very long time, I've had a lot of comments say to me, "Do you do instructions? Can I have instructions for this model? When will you make instructions for this particular model you've made?" And the answer has always been, I'm not going to do instructions because I don't have the means to do so. I don't want to make instructions either. So I can definitely understand it on both sides, because there was, I didn't, I can't remember where this was, but I definitely remember a time where I saw a Lego train model. I thought, that looks brilliant. That's a model I would love to try and build myself. And I went to type the comment and said, do you have instructions for this? And just before I sent the comment, I thought, oh my God, I've basically become what I hate. I became the thing I was sworn to destroy. But yeah, it was
yeah, I mean,
a sobering moment,
I
that.
I agree. I agree that instructions should be private if unless you want to sell them, and that's completely fine. And
Hmm.
like for me personally, I have build methods here for my Great Western Railway 14X6 that I couldn't put in an instruction for unless I would like completely change the whole build.
Yeah, there are some build methods that don't translate well on paper, because it's how are you going to hold these things in place if you need to acquire a certain detail? Is this going to really work together in the first place? If there's a certain connection point that was a bit finicky to do, how can you translate that onto paper? How can you show people, okay, this bit is going to be a bit fiddly, a bit delicate, so be a bit careful? How do you translate that with basically a picture without smothering text all over the screen? It's a bit of a shame that, but yeah, there are some difficulties, like mentioned just now and earlier as well, that surround instructions making.
Oh yeah. All right. Is there any more questions in the chat? Not really.
Nah, most of the conversation from chat came from a few people who came in, and the dominant side of chat came from Trace, who was able to jump in for this. He did
Oh, I
mention
know I asked
earlier
you.
another the third member, or the third international member for the LUKR is Renzo, someone I mentioned earlier this evening. He is someone again who also builds British, but have you seen any of Renzo's models?
Hmm, I don't think so.
He is on Flickr, and he kind of got me into building 8 wide British models. My Princess Royal is 8 studs wide. The blue coronation I made was also 8 studs wide, and I also kind of really came down to Renzo because he has, I think it's a Q class. What was it that Trace said? He has a Ginty tank engine. Yeah, that I think that's 8 wide as well. So again, I've built 7 wide stuff, and that's one thing. But when I made my first 8 wide model, I don't really want to go back because 8 wide is the way to go. Let me try and
I
get
think
that link
six
for
to
you.
seven wide is is the better way. But
Sorry?
go to go to 8 wide.
Well, going from 6 wide to 8 wide is a better thing to do than going from 6 wide to 7 wide, mainly because of all the jumper plates. Kind of having to
Oh,
balance all the odd numbers and all the building. That's its own thing, but at the same time, it's also kind of builder's preference. I said to Sam, British Bricks, um, it was on one of his latest posts on Flickr where he said, "Here's the work in progress for my blue coronation model, and it's still a 7 wide build." And I said to him, "This looks great, standard comment and whatever else." And I also ended it by saying, "Join the 8 wide squad. Building 8 wide is really good." But he replied by saying, "Team 7 wide for life," or something like that. So sadly, Sam is never going to experience the just the wonders of building 8 wide because it really was so much more helpful, especially around the tender area. This is something I've made known a few times where when I was building the blue coronation 8 studs wide, the details in front of the wheels for the tender is the way I wanted to build it originally for the 7 wide version. But because it was just a bit too thin, it didn't work. So brick building details like that is, well, brick building details can be done in a number of ways. The version I've done it for 7 wide is nowhere near as tidy as the way I did it for 8 wide. I'd rather try and do the 8 wide version for all my other models, but again, because of how thin the tenders themselves are, it's just not possible. So sadly, since British Bricks has convinced himself to stay 7 wide, he's never gonna taste that bounty. It's a real shame, to be honest. But all the same,
oh,
his blue
it's
coronation
very
model is really coming along nicely. I cannot wait to see that lined because he's got the front shape completely sorted. Whilst that front shape for the coronation that he's made looks good, I can't help but feel that just looking at the front area, it's a bit unnecessarily complicated. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me being a bit of a nutter, but it's. I feel like with this model in particular, again, this is coming out of nowhere, and I don't know really why I'm saying this. Um, I'll get this in the chat as well because it's a good looking model, but
oh,
you can definitely tell what it's supposed to be. But if you look
yeah.
in the area between where like the streamlined front is and just above the cylinders, it looks unnecessarily complicated. Sam is a talented builder and all, but I feel like this is just. Is it? Does he need to do this? I don't know. It's coming from a weird place, like I said, but at the same time, maybe it's just me not understanding his build style. That's the only thing I could really probably link it to.
Interesting.
Yeah, still a good one. I'm glad he made his as the blue one because obviously my red one's been made. He made a red one in the past. The coronation models I've made in the other liveries are definitely something else as well. So to see kind of another livery coronation is very exciting. I need to keep this picture up as well because I've got some thin drive rods on the way, and I need to have a look at how these sort of wire rod details are done. Okay then. Right.
So
I
I know I asked you this last week, but what was your favorite Thomas and Friends or Tugs episode?
My favorite Tugs episode. What did I say that was? I think it was. Oh, what's the one where Billy's introduced? Traps. That's it.
Oh, Trap.
I
Just
think. I
and then
think
like
I said. I
Tug.
can't remember what I said as the original answer. But for me, I'll probably say Traps because that was the first Tugs episode I watched. Funnily enough, I watched the Unlucky Tugs dub of it before I watched the original episode. And after I watched
Oh,
the original
see.
episode, I was able to find a video on YouTube which had all 13 episodes in a massive 4 hour long video. So, no breaks between the episodes. It's just one episode done, next episode straight after. And I watched all 13 back to back in that 4 hour stretch. And that was my first proper exposure to the Tugs episode. But I think Trapped is still my favorite episode because Billy Shoepack is my favorite character, and the way that the characters will operate. I love this thing with, well, I suppose any show, but the way Tugs done it was also very interesting. It's a very random assortment of characters. You got a few Star Tugs, you got a few Z Stacks. It's not featuring everyone, but it's also a random selection. No, we got Big Mac and Top Hat and OJ. Yeah, cool. That's a very interesting duo. 10 Cents is here, but he's also out of the way. We got this new character called Billy Shoepack who does his own thing.
It's not like Thomas that is shoved in every single episode. Like, oh, look at this blue train. Oh,
Yeah, it's
it's
well with Thomas where you have your focus characters and you'll try to focus in and remind everybody who's watching that all these characters still exist. Tugs was done in a way where it's an ensemble cast. Everyone's important, but there are going to be times where not everyone's going to be seen. And again, I don't know what made this one so special, but this I just love that it was an odd assortment of characters that may never interact on screen in this certain way again. I think that's what I love about that episode the most, compared to something like Sunshine or what was it, Big Freeze, whatever the last episode was, where they don't get rid of the liner, but where they basically do their business with the ocean liner that comes through. Basically, everybody's in those episodes compared to Traps, where it was just that assortment. So yeah, and favorite Thomas episode was that one you asked as well? Thomas and the Jet Engine. I love how fast paced that episode is. It's just so much fun. It's brilliant. Love it so much.
passes this. Hi, Gordon. Bye, Gordon.
The one thing I don't like about it, since you just said that, was when the jet engine ran out of fuel. I would have loved to see Gordon race past Thomas to overtake him again to be back in front. Because when Thomas gets to the station, Gordon is already there. We don't
Yeah, that would
see
have been kind of funny.
Yeah, we don't see Gordon go back in front on camera, so I suppose it makes sense between Thomas running out of fuel and reaching the station
Probably
in that
was
freeze frame, where yeah,
probably
we
was switched and onto like a branch line before coming back on the main line.
yeah probably took a different
I
track,
don't know.
but again, I think that that's the one thing that has bugged me for a long while, where we just don't see Gordon re-overtake Thomas. Ah well.
Would have been like, Hugh, I'm done, and then you just hear a high speed steam engine just like go past Thomas. And he's just like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
I was going that fast.
Okay, so
Oh,
we are now at 9:05. The 1 hour mark has been hit. Since there aren't any other
goodness.
comments or questions coming through chat, I'm going to end the stream here.
All right.
So
Well,
there we go. This has been a wonderful stream. I'm so glad that conversation kept on going because this is one thing I'm nervous about when it comes to talking with people in general. I'm not particularly good about carrying a conversation, but on the topic of Lego trains, and because you also enjoy that hobby too, a conversation
mhm.
like this can go on for a good while, and I'm really glad that it was able to flow really well throughout the stream. Trace being in chat definitely helped as well, and that again only added to the conversation, which was really fun. And maybe, hopefully, one day we can get you back on for another stream if you're up for that in the
Let's
future.
go. It would be kind of fun to see multiple people in a stream. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I'll
if
see
that's
if I can
possible,
try and
but
get a group of people on for it. We'll try and figure something out one day. But baby steps. We'll
very
get
cool.
there in due time. So
Thank you,
that
Luke.
will do it. That will do it for this stream. Thank you to everyone so much for watching. Make sure you go to check out Mike Bricks on YouTube and on Instagram. I will make sure that the links for his pages are in the description of this stream once the stream has ended. I will also make another community post here on YouTube and on Discord, also shouting out his social pages. Thanks again so much for watching, everyone. Now it's time for me to end the stream and do my fancy outro by falling down on my bed backwards, which should be a bit fun. Let's get rid of this thing first. There we go. Right then, thanks again so much for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye, everyone.